Enemies Part 2. This is roughly what I want to get done, and some gravity. I kept talking about it in the last video. Um, yeah, I shouldn't hang about too long. Let's just get stuck in. I really want to flip the script a bit and start working on something that's not just the battle engine soon. It would be fun to delve into the base building sort of stuff. That'd be cool. Alright, so some kind of alerted flag and then some way of picking an attack based on the situation. So, in the enemy object, he will need some sort of visual for what he can see. Um, Sight distance, maybe. What am I looking for here? I guess what we want is maybe to draw the mesh in a sort of piece of a pie shape, like a cone with a rounded edge. Um, but we'll use Blender just to avoid all that. So I will add, I think just a cube. I guess it's 1 by 1 by 1. But then we want to bring this line into the middle, bring this line into the middle, and this is, I think that's it. Just to clear up the mesh though, you don't want lines overlapping. So I think you just highlight all of them, merge by distance, none. Okay, that's maybe wrong. Oh, there we go, merge by distance. Maybe you just have to do it one at a time. Okay, there we go. So now the mesh is back to being good. No duplicates. So this is my idea. If I just take this mesh, um, add a mesh collider, then I can make the actual mesh invisible and then just use the collider to decide what the enemy can see. So if something is in front of it, it will trigger the flag to say alerted, I should be targeting something, and then it will try and pick an ability based on how far away it is. That's the general idea anyway. So pull the cone in, decide how big it's going to be, something like that. Maybe move it forward a little bit. That's a tiny sight range, something like that maybe. You know what, that's maybe fine for now, just for testing, and then afterwards I can improve on it. So just go to the cube object, hide it in the renderer. So I believe that the collider is still there. Um, hmm. Can't see any gizmo lines. The mesh is registered though. Okay, I'll just see if it works anyway. Um, wonder. So what I'm thinking is, how do I catch something with this collider without attaching scripts to the visual? Um, concave mesh colliders are not supported. Oh shit, it's still doing random movements. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Either make the mesh collider convex or make the rigid body kinematic. Well, I think it should be kinematic anyway since it moves. Controls whether physics affect the rigid body. Okay, so interestingly, now we can see the collider green lines. Uh, no, there is no player script. Maybe I should add one of those so it's easy for the enemy to decide if it found a player or not. May need it for something later anyway. If there's a survival builder, maybe there'll be um, food and water and resources. Right, just attach that to the player and make sure to apply it to the prefab. So let's just see if he runs around, if that follows like it should. Okay, great. So if he turns, it moves with him as expected. And then if I go, I should be able to go into that. So is trigger, I think, means it's more of a trigger rather than, oh, that's the wrong one though. Oh no, I can't do trigger with this. Oh, hold on, hold on. Okay, so that, I'm not sure what this convex and concave, maybe that just means, is it coming from the outside, is it coming from the inside? Maybe that's what it is. I should be able to walk inside it now since it's a trigger. Yeah, there we go. Right, just because it keeps annoying me, let's do gravity. I know it's a bit all over the place, but it is really annoying when the spider thing walks into me. Um, I think that's the number for gravity. I think in schools they teach us 9.8, but for when I was looking this up ages ago, I think everyone was using 9.81. Probably doesn't really matter. It's not like we're doing actual crazy physics or anything. So in the update, we need to know if he's touching the ground. Um, private bool is touching ground. We will do a tiny sphere cast, which is like a ray cast, but instead of a ray, it's just a sphere, and then check if it's touching the floor. So we spawn that at the butt. So just physics, sphere cast, yep. Sphere cast all. What does it want? What does it want? Origin, radius, direction? Origin. I'm not sure why you would need a direction if it's a sphere. Um, okay, let's just go transform dot position, this object position. The radius, something really small. You don't normally want magic numbers, so maybe I should just even inside here is probably good enough. Sphere radius. So at a glance, you know what this number is. Direction. What? Oh, I did float. Factor of 3. Maybe that. We'll just see what happens. Max distance. What? Oh, okay. So this is probably vector 3.0 because we want it to happen right at the spot of the origin. Max distance 0 maybe? Recast hits equals, this might work, 4 and hits dot length, and then we want to check if it's touching a ground. If touching ground, return true, otherwise just return false for everything. So how do we determine the ground? Maybe just a tag? Is that bad code? I wonder if there's a sphere cast that allows us to put in a layer mask. Oh, there we go, layer mask. This is probably better. We'll just add it here. Serialize field, private, layer mask, ground, layer mask. So because we've added it here, we don't really need to check anything here. So the sphere cast all will say, are we touching any ground object at this position with a tiny little sphere, which means right under the body, and then if any hits, if hits.length is greater than 0, it's hit some sort of ground, so we can just return true. And this can be shortened as well to return hits.length greater than 0. So is it touching the ground? If the hits are more than 0, yes. So I think that works. In the update, we will handle gravity. So if is touching ground, we have the character controller. Oh, hold on. The character controller does this for us. I forgot all about that. Is grounded. Okay. Velocity. Dot y. Okay, well we'll try it with this, and then we'll see if the is grounded is better. So if we are touching the ground, velocity. I don't think I can apply it like that, right? I need to. Yeah. Um. How's best to do this? Maybe you grab the velocity equals character controller dot velocity. Then we edit the y, make it a small number. I'm not sure about this, but then make that equal that. No, doesn't like it either. Read only. Okay. Okay, I'm not sure how to apply gravity to a character controller, so I'll just ask Grok. Okay, it's minus 9.81 to make you go down, I suppose, instead of. So will it add? Will it add gravity? If you're grounded and velocity is less than 0, velocity dot y. And then they just use, oh, okay, they use move and then add velocity there. Okay, so if you are touching the ground and character controller, hold on, what's velocity? They're just storing velocity. Private v3 velocity. Floor. Okay, so if they're touching the ground and the velocity is in the minus, as in trying to push you closer to the ground, then you set the velocity equal to a small number. Interestingly, they chose 2 and I ended up with 0.2. I wonder if I've seen similar code before and it was in my brain somewhere. Apply movement. So I've already done the moving part. I wonder if the gravity should just be tacked in here somewhere. Screw it, it's fine. We'll see how it works. So what am I doing? What am I doing? Apply gravity at the end. So they're doing it separate anyway, so it doesn't seem like it's an issue. Uh, velocity.y plus equals, and then that's where the gravity minus number comes in. So I wonder if there would be an issue from me using fixed update to move and then using update to handle gravity. So that's something to keep an eye on if it feels wonky or jerky. And then character dot move plus a times delta time, just to keep it frame independent. And as usual, let's just see how it looks. Okay, probably not what we want. I wonder if that's because gravity, the number. Yep, gravity kept the 9.81 even though I changed it to minus. So that's an issue I see fairly often. If you type in an initial value and then change it, if it's serialized, it often keeps the original value. So, okay. Okay, nice. It looks like I'm falling to the ground again. And if I tip over, wow, very fast. So I wonder if the touching ground will never happen. It will never reset the downward velocity because I haven't set a layer. So let's create ground layer, apply it to this thing, and we still need to set the ground layer in here. Ground layer mask ground. So let's see, it shouldn't be as speedy this time. Yeah, okay, that's much better. So I think gravity's done unless later I do something and it looks really weird and we need to look over it again. So that's fine for now. Okay, time to start doing something with the sight distance. Um, Maybe enemy sight script. As always, this is you just think up an idea, try to figure out if it'll work, and then implement. And then if it works, great. You can work on making it better or changing it later. Um, and yeah, if it doesn't work, you just get thinking of something else. So I'm thinking probably put this enemy sight on the object with the cone. No, yeah, I was gonna do a rounded edge, but I guess I forgot. It's not too difficult. You just make a cylinder and then cut out the bits that you want, delete the rest, and then you've still got the same shape. An even better way of doing it, I imagine, would be just to draw the mesh. You add the points of a mesh, and then yeah, you just create it dynamically, and then that would give you the nice mesh. But this is nice and quick. and we'll get it working. So the enemy site, what is this? What do we want this to do? It's going to have on trigger enter, on trigger exit. I don't think I'm going to do anything too crazy right now. If the player enters the site, it will trigger a flag, and if the player leaves, I think I'm just going to have the creature go back to wherever it was standing at the point of the alert. Nice and simple. You can obviously add some sort of chase functionality. So if the player leaves the sight of the enemy will continue to chase in that direction for some amount of time before resetting. But yeah, all that can be added later on if we want to. I don't want this project to go on too long, and I feel like it already is getting to the point where the features are ridiculous. But yeah, let's just see how it goes. On trigger enter, on trigger exit. Um, Enemy site. I guess all enemies will have some kind of site. So for now, I think I will add it to the enemy parent class. And protect it again, as the subclass will want to use it. Collider, site collider, and on start, or this could maybe be in awake, as it the component belongs to this object or this class. So site collider, and then in here we will subscribe to an event, I think. So okay, on trigger enter, we want to grab a player object from this other object. So this will be if it collides with the player. We have character controller. This is acting as a collider itself. So if this other collider, and I think just get component player should work because we have a player component on the object. Get up there. Ah, okay, stay there. Okay, so player equals get the component. If player equals null, we return early because we don't care. Otherwise, yeah, maybe just go straight in. Public, not static, event handler, on player sighted. And then the same thing on player out of sight. And here we will do on player sighted, invoke this, and I don't know if there'll need to be event args, so we'll just do empty for now. And then on exit will come to after. Site collider on public event on player sighted. So I was thinking we should be able to get that here, but oh, hold on, that's silly. Um, in the enemy class, we're just taking the collider, which is not what we want. We want the enemy site object. So now we should be able to do on enemy site collider or enemy site. There we go. On player sighted. That's what we want. So now we have subscribed to the event. So now this monster can do something when the player is sighted. Part of me thinks this should be in the enemy parent class as well, or the base class. So let's just do that. Uh, Awake enemy site on player sighted, and then probably have some abstract functions, protected, abstract, on player sighted, and then something similar for on player out of sight. Yep, same thing. And then we'll just run on player out of sight and on player sighted. So now every enemy will have some sort of logic that says if the player is in sight or out of sight, run some code, and then we can make the code specific to the monster or the enemy. I just wondered about that. Oh yeah, it's because it's private, I don't need to call any base classes or anything. Okay, that's fine. So a quick way of doing it, if you just implement abstract class, it will add these two. So on enemy, protected, vector3, position at enemy site. And this is just something we'll update when the enemy is spotted, so the monster knows how to get back. And the more we do of this, the more I realize I'll need to use a nav mesh. Yeah, what am I doing? I'll need a nav mesh so the monster knows how to walk around walls and things. A lot of the code will still be usable. Like this move towards random position, I'm sure this will be usable. I'll just tell the nav mesh that we're trying to get to the target position and it will calculate how to get around walls and things. AI, nav mesh. No, I don't remember too much about this. Let's see. Nav mesh surface. Position 000. So what is this? Doesn't have a visual. Okay. So that's cool. So can I simply make enemies follow this. I think there's something we can just add. Nav mesh obstacle, is it? And I would like to see it move with me. I can't remember if this is it though. No, okay. Nav mesh agent, this is what will control this thing moving around. Um, it's got all these different settings, which now I don't know if we need all of this. I guess we'll just play around and see what works and what doesn't. If we move that now, okay, so the baked mesh isn't quite doing it. Hmm. Okay, that's more like that. 1.45 height, and we'll go about something like that. 1.5 speed. We don't want it to be too fast to begin with. Oh no, acceleration should be a lot though. I think that's how it works. Angular speed, I like that to be quite high. I don't want it to turn slow. Uh, oh, what's that thing to... Hmm. Okay, let's ask Grok. Using a nav mesh, how do I add dynamic obstacles such as the player, enemies, etc. Nav mesh obstacle. Okay, let's add an obstacle. Oh, I've done that. 1 what size? Oh, that's because this, right? 0.9 and 1.8. Uh, enable this if you want an obstacle to cut a hole in the mesh where it stands. I think that's, yeah. We don't want things to walk into it. The gun probably doesn't need this size around it though. Huh. You know what, let's not do carve for that. Show you baked nav mesh. Your agents, enemies, NPCs should have a nav mesh agent. Okay. So they probably shouldn't be carving either. can move it around now because the rigid body and stuff. Okay. Cuts out a temporary hole. Okay. Ideal for moving objects. Without carving, agents will simply avoid the obstacle's bounding volume but won't adjust paths through it. Use it sparingly. Disable carving and let agents path around them. Okay, add an obstacle with carving enabled. Okay. Carve. Use card to controller. Yep. Enemies will naturally avoid the player. Add that. If you want each other's paths. Okay, so this should really have an obstacle as well. Um, so then what happens with baking? That seems like it's just going to always rip a hole through them because they're standing there, which isn't ideal. Okay. Include layer. Oh, maybe we're only applying the ground and it's ignoring the objects now. That's maybe what we want. Yeah, awesome. Okay, brilliant. But he's freaking out over there. Why? Is he not allowed to walk on here for some reason? But yeah, what did this say? The enemy AI should have a reference to the agent, and then we just set the destination when we want it to move. So this could mean slightly cleaner code then. Okay, enemies will probably all have some kind of nav mesh agent. Nav mesh agent. And then in here, move target towards a position. I don't think this is going to be nearly as busy. Rotate. I think all the rotation is going to be handled for us. Let's just comment this out first, and then we'll do nav mesh agent set destination, new position. And let's see if it works. Again, I didn't add the reference. Yeah, let's not hard code that again. Awake nav mesh agent equals get component nav mesh agent. That means we don't need to serialize it. Did I not do that with the rigid body as well? I found it here inside the enemy itself, so I'll just rip that out of there, add it to the enemy awake, just the same way. Enemy site will have to be pulled in, so I'll lock this page so it doesn't disappear, and that doesn't make any sense. Hold on. Yeah, I can just be on this, and I think if I just drag the cube in, it will recognize there is an enemy site class. There we go, and just add it. Similarly, you can also just do on awake get component in child rather than dragging it like that. And that may be the better option actually. So in the same way we've done this, enemy site is equal to get component in child enemy site. And I can also get rid of this as we don't want to edit that anymore. So then enemy site says, did we get a player? Trigger this, and then the enemy will capture that event and then run on player sighted, and this will run just a simple debug that says player spotted, and I'll just add this in as well, even though I didn't code it up. So I'll try and stay out of the way. Okay, lots of problems. Lots of problems. Navmesh agent. Okay, get component navmesh agent. It couldn't find it for some reason. Is this really not running? If I make this protected, maybe then I can call the base.awake. I wonder if it affects the code much if I alter it by saying virtual, if it will still run when loaded. So now for definite it will run the previous code first. So let's just see. Okay, great. The spider is freaking out. Oh, I didn't even change the message, did I? So we'll always say spotted, which is odd. Oh no, player out of sight. So it should. Oh yeah, it's not sending the signal. It's fine. This might just be a stopping distance. So if I set this to 0.1, nothing. So why why is it being like this? Maybe we need some debug again. Some debug comments, logs. That's what I'm trying to say. All right, so okay, so this is trying to run a lot. And what is new position? I wonder if setting the destination once is good enough. So instead of this being called all the time, maybe don't need this if we're purposefully calling it when we want to. Make random movement will only trigger one time because of the cooldown. Target position. So then we say move towards target position. And in fact, we don't really need this at all now, I believe. I'll delete it, but we can always undo if I need to. This might be a simple case of nav mesh agent set destination target position. And if this is the case and we only need to do it one time and it will just go towards that position, maybe don't even need the target position variable. We can just pass this straight in. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully the spider doesn't continue freaking out. He's really fast. Agent and obstacle components are active at the same time. Weren't they supposed to be? So how often is it trying to change position? Okay, well let's go debug log set destination. See how often it calls this. It should be once. Yeah, once every 3 seconds or so. But because it never goes to the position, I mean, this is moving unpredictably and erratically, like Grok asked. Maybe this is why you get up close and knife it. What a fucking mess. I mean, it's great, but it's not what we're looking for. So it sets the destination one time. I wonder if we just remove the obstacle. Okay, so immediately we go 8. Much higher, maybe 260. And speed needs to be higher again. This thing's meant to be unpredictable and fast. Acceleration needs to be probably 100. Again, this really fast, really fast. getting closer. 20. Yeah, that's probably closer what we want. This is an angle, right? Just immediately turn, please. Okay, I wonder if I should be able to copy component and just paste these values in. Paste component values. But now he has no box, no cutout, which I don't think is what we want. So I managed it by having an obstacle, but no mesh. So why does that? Having a nav mesh agent and a nav mesh obstacle on one object makes it move erratically. No, 2 hours. How do I have a nav mesh agent that also carves the surface? Oh, this isn't so good if I need to add some custom script. Okay, maybe I just ignore it. Just remove the obstacle. Add a few more spoders and see what happens if they bounce off each other or something. They're fighting to get to the position, which I think is stopping distance. Come on, you fuckers. This one's having a great time. Okay, stopping distance. I don't know how to fix that if they just continually bounce off each other. I guess the stopping distance should be the half of uh, half the diameter, so the radius. And now these two are broken. We're trying to go too far off the edge. That seemed to drop really fast again. Is the gravity broken? Does the gravity not work? Let's show off the velocity just so I can see what happens. It should be resetting, but maybe I need to swap to is grounded instead of what I wrote. Yeah, it's continuously going down. So the longer I stay on a platform, the faster down I will move. So my code for checking if I'm on the ground doesn't seem to work. Okay, well, I tried, but character controller is grounded. Let's see if this works. So what we should see is the velocity not continually ticking. It should just go to, I think, -2 and then stop. Yeah, yeah, okay, now it's working. So when we fall, it will always be a pretty consistent fall speed rather than just zapping us miles below. Yeah, there we go. Okay, well, that was a nice short interlude. I will apply all the changes to this, remove the extra ones, and get back to checking when oh, checking when the player has been targeted. So here we go. I'm out of range. It's not said anything. If I move into it, it triggers player spotted. Now the range is so small at the moment, there is no reason to have a charge attack because I will be standing on top of the thing by the time it sees me. But this is you don't want to have the range too big while testing if it can see you, because then you need to stand miles away from the object. And this I've got just a small setup at the moment with a small cube for the ground. Uh, where were we? Okay, so in this one here, player spotted, it will trigger the alerted value, but I don't want to just change that. I would rather trigger a function or a method. Um, Alerted. Um, Remove alerted. So in here, that will say alerted is true and alerted equals false. And the reason I wouldn't want to just flag that is because you might want to do something else when it becomes alerted. You might want to show an icon above its head that, like an exclamation mark, or maybe change its face to look angry because it spotted an enemy. Or there's different things you might want to do. So on here I will say alerted, remove alerted, and inside remove alerted I think I will set the target position equal to the position at enemy site, and then this will be, this might end up being sort of common functionality to return to a position. Okay, protected void return to position. In here we will immediately trigger the movement cooldown. Is that in here as well? Trigger move. Why is it in here? That's got to be enemy common code for sure. I'll move this. Move cooldown. I believe that would be common code. I'll set protected for now, since we probably will need to use this in the subclass. And we'll get that out of there and slap it in here somewhere. This may be private. If we're using functions like this, we maybe don't need access to it elsewhere. Move cooldown should be ripped out as well. Right, so what does that leave us with? Move cooldown, nicely it's kept its value, okay. Sim value, move cooldown. Oh, it's because I've not saved this file. Not a problem. Not accessible. Handle move cooldown. This will be in the enemy. Maybe I'm wrong and some enemies won't need all of this, but hey, as always, just give it a try. Handle move cooldown. And in here as well, that's not a thing. Fixed update. Handle move cooldown, but I imagine I need to do the same thing here. Make it protected virtual. So this means subclasses can access it, and it can be overridden, which means we can call the base function. So in fixed update, base.fixed update, and that just means it will run our code. I'm not sure what the implications are of doing this, if it's bad form, or if it shouldn't be done, or if it's just, yeah, do it if you want. I'm not sure. Okay, enemy. Is everything fine? Let's test again. Be normal. Looks normal. Pop, pop. Interesting. If I shoot that, oh. If I shoot that, that must reach up to the parent and then scream that it's found an enemy when I hit it. Okay. Where's the bullet? Yeah, get component and parent. Okay. Um. Okay, this is probably bad code. I should be more specific about what I'm hitting. So it's hitting the other collider, and then it's reaching up. Okay, so instead of trying to go for the health, it should probably be the enemy. It should probably grab enemy. So if it hits something, let's try and get an enemy object. I guess enemy's not right either, because we might want to shoot down walls and things, or doors, shoot open chests. Yeah, maybe it's just component parent isn't necessary. If it's just get component, because it's going to hit this collider and then it'll find the health component, whereas it won't find this thing that's just separate. So it hits that, but we'll go through that. Okay, easy enough fix. Um, okay, back to what we were looking at. So, what were we looking at? This thing? Movement? Oh yeah, it's returning. Return to position. So this should say trigger move cooldown. Um, agent, nav mesh agent, set destination, target position. And then because I've decided to overwrite target position and not just reassign the destination as this, that means we can still use is enemy near the target position. So the cooldown shouldn't run, I believe, while it's returning to the position because it is now that target position. Hopefully that makes sense. Um, boop, boop. So if I see it, oh, oh yeah, I haven't actually left its site. So uh, if it's alerted, what do we do? If it's alerted, we don't want it to come up with a new movement. So make random movement if it can move. Don't do this if alerted. So another way of doing this, maybe I could add the check in fixed update, say if alerted, run all of these different functions. If not alerted, run all of these functions. That's maybe the cleaner way of doing it, rather than locking off each individual one. If alerted, we'll run whatever is in here. Else, not alerted, and run those. I guess chase target. This might not work right off the bat. We'll just try it. So nav mesh agent dot set destination. I guess it needs a target as well. Which at the moment is just the player, but what if we have some sort of effect where, like in that Halo game, a little guy runs forward, he can be a decoy, the enemies might then attack that. So we don't want to just say, okay, attack the player. We want to say, you have a target, go for that target. This might work. So alerted. Where do we find player spotted on player side? So we're going to need some sort of we will actually need event args for the object that was spotted. So in enemy site, we could just pass in a game object. And then maybe change this to on target side. And change this to on target out of sight. And then yeah, just slap in a game object. So we will just be looking for player at the moment, but then this could all change. This could be a class of enemy targetable or something like that. And then anything with that will then pass through, and then we will pass this into the event. So on trigger exit, same thing again. Player equals other get component player. If player is null, just ignore it. On target out of sight. There we go. This object is the sender, and this is what we are passing through. So you don't always have to pass through event args as a class with multiple parameters. You can just pass in one thing as well. So what does that do? On target sighted, then it comes through here, which this needs to be updated. It's no longer event args E, it'll be game object target, and then game object target. I believe that's covered the error. Yep. So we just pass in target into the functions and then update the signature. Game object target. And then finally, this comes through here. So now we can use it. So alerted, probably pass the target in there. Remove alerted, we probably don't need anything when we're removing a target. We just need to know that it has been removed. Or, oh no, I think we do. We will do a comparison of if the target that has left the site is the one we are chasing, then we will stop and revert. So alerted, same thing again. This dot target equals target. So we're updating this, and then I think that's maybe it, because we don't know what to do with this yet. If this is a creature with legs and we wanted to chase something, then that's what we'll do in the enemy specific script. If this is a turret and it's achieved its target, we will just have it swiveling around and trying to shoot, so we don't want it to chase. So this is gonna, the logic will change based on the enemy. We just want to grab the target on the base class. In here, remove alerted. I think it's worth putting the check in here. This is maybe too far along. Get rid of that. Back in here. Or back in here. Okay, down the bottom. On player out of sight. This is maybe what we want to do. If this dot target is equal to, okay, it's not equal to target, return, because we don't care, the usual. But if it's the same target, that's when we will run the code to revert. And so this is fine, we don't need to do checks here because we already know by this point that we do want to remove the alerted status. Alerted that, target position is that, and return to position. Triggers the cooldown regardless of what the status is. And set destination. And in this thing, we will simply have it chase the player. Just chase the player, that's all. Target transform. So just go towards wherever the target is until it moves out of reach. Obviously this is going to change because it should pick an ability based on the range, and if it's far away it will use a charge like we've been told in here somewhere. Yeah, if distance to player is greater than charge distance, perform a charge. But this is fine just to make sure it's working. It should just continually walk towards us when we're in its reach, or when we're in its range, and then if we move out of range, it will return to position, I think. No? It's kind of is, but it's still trying to do the random movement. So why does it decide it shouldn't make a random movement if it is alerted? We'll put in a little comment just saying randomly moving. To see at which point it decides to do that. Target spotted, target out of sight. I wonder if it gets too close, and because of the glitchy movements, it somehow gets in range of saying it's out of sight. We could maybe build a game out of just that. Robot Wars or something. Okay, it's chasing me, and then it fucks off. Interesting. Let's flatten out the cube a bit. I need to widen it. Is that what I mean? Is that what I want? Okay, let's see. It's it's going through out of sight, spot, out of sight, spot, out of sight very quickly, which makes me think it's just a logic issue. I've coded something badly. Uh, Player exited. I think I've got something similar deeper in the code, but I want to see this. When does it trigger? When does it exit? Hmm. I think the movement is fine afterwards. It seems to want to return to its original position, or close enough. And then around 3 seconds after that, it will move to a random spot. Okay. But why does it freak out and then just tries to leave? Huh. And I guess we do want this in to be constantly running because it needs to constantly chase the player and the player will be moving position. Hmm. I wonder if this is a stopping distance as well. How wide's this crazy thing? It's it's like 3? Is that 3 long? So the stopping distance might be around 1.5, maybe even 1.55, just to give it some buffer. If it would stop in front of me rather than freaking out and trying to touch me all the time, that would be great. Huh. It stops though, it stops. Uh, let's go 2. Stopping distance of 2. Is this just a config problem? But as soon as I start moving again, it tries to go back. Hmm. I hope it's not the dagger that's triggering this. No, because it's getting the player. Huh. It's also going straight through the carve, which I don't think is meant to happen. Now this is where I'm starting to think maybe fixed update is causing problems. I could be completely off the mark here, but I think I'll just try and switch it over. Put it in update. Nothing, no other updates been used, right? I can also comment this out because I don't think it's working entirely, but it's probably close enough. This update. Yeah, again, I could be completely off here, and I should change everything from fixed delta time to delta time. Not using it anyway. There we go. Okay, let's see. Oh, the settings have reverted. Okay, I clearly went through it there, and it's not working. Hmm. 3? Doesn't even exit, and it's screaming. And now it's paused. Hello? Briefly enter it. Huh. This should spam a lot. When it's alerted, it should spam a lot, but maybe I'll see where the break in the chain is. Stopping distance. So really, this is just half of whatever length it is. So if it's 4, then it'll be 2. If it's 3, then it should be 1.5, and 2 is overkill. Randomly moving, that's fine. If I step in its way, alert, 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 player exit, target out of sight. Nothing tells it to reset. It's like it just resets on its own. Let's not send a signal and see what it does. That little jerky movement there, it did spin and put me out of its sight. Huh. Maybe it's because this is too fast now. Oh. Hmm. Is it because it's too quick now? It just immediately spins out of reach. See that? It does flicker and then I go out of sight. I'm not even moving. I'm not moving position, I'm just moving angle. I guess it means it can get a little bit closer than it did before. And why does it not care about the carve on the ground? Hmm. Hmm. Area mask. Hmm. I wonder why it doesn't care about the space. It's like a rabid dog. Maybe that's fine if it's just running towards you like that the whole time. And it's just dealing damage the closer it stands. It's pretty annoying, but that's maybe the point. Hmm. Maybe the timer is what stops this from being so quickly exited. Like if it takes down 3, 2, 1, and then he tries to return to position. Because that's kind of rubbish. I'm standing right in front of it, and then it just resets. Boom. Let's try Let's try something else. Cube. So it's got a box collider. We're gonna have 1 because it's gonna be too high. 3 and then 5 and then just 1.5 in front, or let's just set it in front-ish. And this is going to be the visual now. This is what it's going to trigger off of instead of the cone. Because the cone is not really doing it, I think. What's enemy site? Let's just slap that on, put it up here somewhere. And then see if this has any effect. Oh, it needs to be a trigger, of course. Trigger. Okay, it's not immediately resetting. I tried to get out of its range. There we go. I had to do some pretty tight turns, which again can just be fixed by widening it out. Maybe that was the problem all along. Damn you, cone. I guess if I wanted it to be really smart, I can maybe use cone for the visual, but then switch over to using the cube to try and escape. So if you get out of the cube, then it returns to its regular position. So for now, let's see. Still goes through it, that's good. Let's stand here. Okay, now I don't think we're getting out of it unless we go around a wall or something. Yeah, that's probably good enough. That's good enough. So now there'll be some kind of damage. Oh yeah, it's got to be choose an ability. So how are abilities going to work? They're going to have some kind of range, maybe even an AoE thing on the ground. Maybe they all have AoE. Maybe that's how it works. But then a number of targets that it can affect. Let's just start jotting down ideas. Ability ideas. And it should be text file. So ability range. So we know melee or a distance. Just a square in front of user or uh, targeted sort of area, something like that. And then I guess effect, what effect it's going to have. I suppose there should be no such thing as who it's allowed to target. Maybe there's a preferential target. So the reason I say that is if an enemy wants to cast a healing aura, no, I guess there would still be allowed targets, preferred targets, and allowed targets. So allowed allowed targets are who can be affected by this. So yeah, if there is some kind of healing aura, but the theme of it is cosmic healing, and it only affects cosmic type enemies, then the player won't be healed by that. But if there is a damaging attack that is done that only has one target, but the player and the enemy, or the player and another enemy is within the area, the preferred target will be hit first. So if an enemy is attacking and it could hit the player or another enemy, the preferred target will get hit first, and then yeah, it means that friendly fire can still happen if there is only one target in the area. So that sounds like it would work. Uh, is this scriptable object material so I can drag and drop which enemies have which skills? That would be really handy. How does this look when written down? Maybe I'll just stick with objects. Right, which attacks does this little bastard have? Abilities. Lunge forward, rapid / multiple bites. And it also stacks a debuff. Okay, so this piece of code that says chase the player will instead be look to your AI pattern and pick an ability. And sometimes it won't find any ability, which means you probably just need to get closer to the target. Right, well, let's make the ground a bit bigger in case we do want to add in the charges and things. Remember to bake the surface again. Enemy, let's get him much further back, but increase the range he sees. That's really annoying that it doesn't expand outward. 15? Good enough? Maybe that's too much. I'm trying to think of an action RPG. What kind of range is good? Maybe something like that. Start from half of its body going out. Honestly, this is maybe terrible anyway. It's maybe just a sphere. It might just, maybe the better option is just a massive sphere around the enemy. And if anything goes into the sphere, it just knows you're there rather than being looking forward. Or I guess that can be different based on the monster. If this thing has sensors that look forward, then it can only see forward. If there's more of an organic creature that can sort of hear and feel, maybe that's... I should probably ask Grok about that, but right now I'll just stick with this for the sake of it. So what are we doing? What are we doing? Okay, so choose ability. I guess movement can be an ability as well. I'll just add an ability for movement. Choose ability. And that's definitely enemy common code. Protected. Void. Choose ability. Serialized field. Private list of ability. Maybe we'll just go like that. Ability list. Keep it nice and clean. So it's not enemies, it's not player. Probably make a new folder for abilities. And again, have a common folder just to put all the base scripts and things. So ability. That's good enough. Just make a new object for it. So the ability will have a name. It's going to be an abstract class because nothing should. No. I guess we'll just add components that will change the functionality. So range, and this could be ability range. I would like to try and keep this fairly simple just to get something working before I start adding arms and legs to what this system actually has to be. There's going to be some kind of public void is target in range. Pass in maybe just a game object. And yeah, this is probably abstract. Probably abstract bool. Since every different range will have its own way of deciding. Oh yeah, the whole point of this is you have different ranges. So you'll have a melee ability range, you'll have a distance ability range maybe, or set ability range for a set distance. Maybe a self ability range that will always return true because you are as close to you as you can be. And it'll maybe make more sense if we see some examples. So ability range. Yeah, I'll make self ability range first. This extends ability range. And then you will implement abstract class. So is target in range? Well, it's a self ability range, so it's always going to return true. Target. Okay, already got some changes. we're going to pass in a game object for the user of the ability and a game object for the target. So game object user. So first of all, we would say if the user is not equal to the target, return false. And if he is, okay, there's a faster way of typing that out. So is the target in range? If the user is the target, then they are in range. If the user is not the target, this is a self ability, so they are not in range. It should not work. Let's do another one. Set distance ability range. So extends ability range. Add the abstract class. There we go. And in here we can have a serialized field, private float for range. And then you just have some kind of calculation between the user and the target. If user.transform.position if vector3.distance between the user position and the target.transform.position. And again, this could be tidied up actually by making this the actual return less than or equal to range. So if the distance between these two objects is less than or equal to range, then return true. Otherwise, it's false. So if this ability is going to be the fucking junkie bite, well, junk bite frenzy, junk bite frenzy, probably have a serialized field private string for display name, public string display name, get return display name. Just create an accessor for that, or a property. Okay, junk bite frenzy. And then we attach a set distance ability range, and here we just put in now this should be something like being one distance away, but now I'm thinking that the enemy attack is going to be similar to the gun bullet spawn point. There probably has to be some kind of attack point. Uh, if I just create an attack origin point, the enemy will most likely have an attack origin point. I think all enemies probably would. So let's just add that in somewhere. Okay, enemy. Protected transform attack origin point. Let me just drag that in. to wherever it's asking. There we go. So now I think when we're checking the distance, it will be from the attack origin point will be the user, which is maybe a weird way of doing it, but it's going to give us the correct distance that we want. And that way you can reuse abilities. This thing that's quite long, if you cater for that in the attack range, it's going to be maybe 1.5 or 2 plus the range you actually want. And then if you want to use the same ability for something that's really thin, then suddenly that 2 plus 1 is going to be a way greater distance than you actually want. So having some kind of attack origin just means it's going to be reusable everywhere. Prefabs, abilities, and just maybe even make an enemy abilities folder. Because I assume they'll be quite different. Just to get rid of that now. Now where is this ability list? We can drop this in here. Now the scripting will be something like the Gambit system from FF12, I think. You'll have a priority system of do number 1 first. If you can't, move on to number 2. If you can't do that, move on to number 3 until you find something to do. And the very bottom option will probably just be move towards the enemy. Or maybe it'll move away from the enemy, depending on what the AI is. Aggressive or defensive or melee or ranged. So I think we'll just call it AI. So how do we want to set this out? There'll be some sort of ability list. Then there'll be AI pattern. This could be melee, offensive, use close range attack, and then the second point will be move closer to enemy. So if you are currently running your attacking pattern, it will say use the close range attack, but if you can't use this, it will move closer to the enemy, and it will continually loop through this until it can do something. So it will always move closer to the enemy until it can use the close range attack. This is the plan. Ranged supporting can be something like if enemy is too close, move away. And then if no enemy is too close, because the first point, then heal ally. And if it can't heal an ally, move closer to ally, maybe something like that. And if it can't do that, then yeah, just heal self maybe, if it needs it. If health less than 30%, heal self, otherwise throw rocks. So this will say enemy is too close, it will move away. Okay, but if there's no enemy close, heal an ally if their health is less than heal ally. But if no ally has less than 50% health, then it will... Oh, hold on, this is different. If it can't do that, then it will try and find an ally, but if no ally has less than 50% health, or if there's no allies close enough, it will skip over this step. Move close to an ally. This is maybe not a good one then. Well, you see the idea anyway. This is kind of what I'm wanting to work towards. This should maybe be its own video though, because the AI, the whole pattern setup and picking abilities and things is going to be quite big, I imagine. Um, so what have I actually done so far then? Before I start setting all this up, I don't want to finish the video too soon. We have an enemy that will continuously run towards you if it sees you, and you have to try and... Hey, it's not coming closer. What did I break? Pew. So it keeps saying alert. Oh yeah, choose ability is what it's trying to do now instead of chase target. Okay, so that's not getting done right now. Um, in the meantime, just chase the target. Okay, there we go. It's gonna keep up my ass. And it's not gonna immediately reset itself. Actually, I don't think I can get it to reset, but oh, there we go. I did just get out of its sight. It's kind of goofy looking, but it's fine. I'll also need to add, if you shoot it, it also triggers the alert and it will make it run towards you for however many seconds. So yeah, maybe I can just work on having it die or something for the rest of the video. Enemy, there'll be some kind of trigger death. So where's the health object? So we take damage, but we never actually check if it dies. So if is it current? Yeah, if current is less than or equal to 0, then it's something bad has happened and it's going to die. So there'll be another event on death. At the moment, I don't really know of which arguments you'd like to pass through to an on death, other than, we don't really need to know its current health. We've already just passed this through to take damage anyway. Could be some kind of skull that when you kill it, another pop-up, yeah, pop-ups again. Another pop-up comes up with a skull or something. What did it tell us to do again? On death, there's an AoE explosion. Oh yeah, it leaks plasma. So I can try and create Enemy specific death, uh, not animations, but yeah. Enemy specific death code. So health, you know, instead of having this as static and having every object that's interested. No, I think we do need to have it like this so that the pop-up manager can do its thing. So we'll just say on start, health. Oh, I've just had a thought that I think I did some kind of subscription in Awake, which is probably not right. Huh. If I see it again, I'll remember and undo it. This here. Oh, okay, I think I did it because it's on the component, but I probably should avoid it anyway. Um, just put it in there to be safe. Why not? So it looks like I might overwrite this again. Start health dot on death plus equals on death, and then kind of similar to what we did for the enemy site, this should trigger an abstract function. Protected. What's going on? Abstract void on death. So in here, we don't need that. The enemy will do it. Health on death. I would like some reference to the health object from the enemy. So I'll just do the same thing. Get component health, and then down here we'll say other health equals sender as health. If health does not equal to other health, return, because this is not what we're interested in. This piece of code is just saying if the on death event was sent by our health, this enemy's health object or class. So if it's not the same, just return because we don't care. But if it is the same, that's when we run the on death. And that's where in here we can just implement the abstract class, scroll down to the bottom. So on death, I have died. So if we shoot it enough times or stab it enough times, it should come up with I have died. Boom, boom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Why is it not looking at me? What have I broke now? Weird, let's start again. So it should wander around. Now it spotted me, it shouldn't move. Randomly moving, triggered after. Why? Oh, it didn't trigger alerted when I entered. Is it because of this again? So enemy start, none of this was happening. Okay. Yeah, this seems to happen a lot with the overwriting or overriding functions. Randomly moving. Okay, let's stand in it. Okay, now it's doing what it should. It's freaking out. So if I shoot, oh, my gun's going through it because the gun starts inside. Oh, well, this is another problem. Um, Gun goes through. Stop. Well, I could stab it a few times. Let's see. Alert is ruining everything. Come on. So let's check the bullet out. What's this doing? So if it's raycasting inside, it's not triggering us actually colliding. Because it starts inside, it's not colliding. Hmm. So what if the bullet is the trigger? And is there a way of figuring out if something, if the trigger went inside another thing? Uh, if on, hold please. Hold please. Okay. Right, so what is happening here? We're just out of, no, don't freak out. Stop. Okay, let's see. We can see that the bullet is clearly inside. I wonder if I wonder if we can just use the box collider as a trigger now. Will we still bound off of it? I think we're moving in kind of inside. Yeah, that's not so good. What about having two then? Box collider, copy component and paste component, and then just having this one as a trigger. On trigger enter, and we can, I guess it'll be on trigger stay. And then we do the same thing, try and get an enemy or a health from this. So that should be its own function now. Get health from collider, other. Um, so that would just be health equals get health from collider, and then we pass in hits I dot collider. And then we're just trying to get the other game object. I guess we can just return that because it might return null, but then I would also just be returning null if I check it first. Okay, this needs to go. Okay, where am I? So trying to get the collider, trying to get the health from the collider, and then if health equals null, return early, doesn't matter, we're not doing anything. Otherwise, it should be some kind of deal damage function. Uh, yeah, maybe the wording could be better, or impact target, or hit target. There we go. Pass in a health object, and then we just say hit target, and then pass in the health, because then we can copy that here. Hit target, pass in the health. So we'll see if this does what I want it to. I'll try and stay out of reach so it doesn't freak out. It dealt damage twice, you little bugger. So yeah, I could see that being a problem, dealing damage twice. Maybe, oh, maybe destroy immediate. Destroy immediate. And hopefully it won't have any single frame lag if that's even the problem. Get out of here, you big bitch. So if I shoot when I'm this close, it is dealing the damage, but we can't destroy the object yet. It says you're not allowed to. Right, I'll try and stay with reach now and try and shoot it and see if it still deals double damage. I don't see why it wouldn't. Oh, fuck off you. Okay, it did anyway. Huh. I wonder if instead of this, maybe I can just get it myself. Just say, is this currently triggering something? In Unity C Sharp, can I grab an array of all trigger colliders that hmm, collider is inside. Okay, so hmm, that's rather annoying. Yeah, I guess I could maybe do overlap. Uh, when I perform a raycast, if my ray begins inside a collider, it does not register. Come on. Yo! You're correct. You know what? Do an physics sphere cast or something. Overlap sphere, that could be. Instead of the ray origin, I'll just overlap the sphere from the bullet itself. Okay, so we don't need to do that. And I think that means I can probably get rid of the trigger box collider as well. No, I can't actually. I can't. The bullet still needs to overlap something, right? Unless the overlap sphere counts as the trigger. I'll try and get rid of it first. See if something still works. I think I've mumbled more in this video than previous ones. So hopefully if anyone is interested in what's going on, it makes sense what I'm doing and why. But hey, maybe I'm just doing it completely wrong compared to industry standard, etc. Um, check for collision. Um, okay, we're going to do something weird here. We're going to not do this. If the number of hits is greater than 0, we're going to encapsulate this. Say we hit something. Otherwise, we're going to do the other thing. This way we can stop it from running, well, hitting twice if both end up being true. So let's try physics dot overlap sphere starting from this dot transform dot position. It's the bullet's position. Transform dot position. Radius. How big is the ball? I don't want bullet to be. I don't want to have to change bullet every time. Um, Serialized field, private float, bullet radius. This is just to be quick. I can probably generate that just by grabbing the mesh or something, or the scale, or I don't know. Bullet radius, this is fine though. And it will grab collider array. Colliders equals. If collider.length is greater than 0, then hit something. Otherwise, nope, we didn't hit anything, don't do anything. For I in colliders.length, health equals get health from collider, and let's see if this works just like that. If health is equal to null, continue, otherwise hit target. This is getting a bit dirty, but we'll see if it works. It's only triggering once. And let's see what happens when we get really close. Hit, hit, hit. Lovely. Okay, that's that problem seemingly fixed. Oh, I have died. So we tested that as well. He's taken enough damage, he has died. So there should be some way of completely deactivating enemy movement, the ability to receive damage, all of that when it dies. On death. we should unsubscribe to events. Just slap that in here on death. Ah, there we go. This event is local. The enemy site is not static, so that should be fine, but maybe for the interest of cleanliness, we might want to unsubscribe. I don't know if this is necessary. So this just makes sure that anytime the on death event is sent or triggered, this dead object will no longer respond to it. And that matters more if we destroy this actual game object, because if the game object is destroyed and then this event is sent, this dead object or this non-existent object will still try to respond, which I'm pretty sure that causes an error and it would shut the game down. Okay, so what do we do on death? I've died. Maybe there is some kind of active, just an active flag. Protected bool active equals false. And on start, we will set active equal to true. And only if it's active will we do a cooldown. If it's not active, we'll return. We don't do anything. I feel like there should be more than that. Handle move cooldown. Hmm. Well, at least in here I can also add if it's not active, return, because we don't want to do anything if it's inactive. And then on death, we will set active to false. Where is the particle system? On death acid pool. Right. There's a lot to look through here. Duration I think said 3 seconds. Speed. It's going to be green. shape or a mission, maybe? Um, it's going to be flat though. We want it to be flat. How do we do that? Sphere. uh, Um, velocity over lifetime. We want it to eventually stop, right? Seems like it gets faster. Oh no, that's just distance. Or, well, not distance, but that affects direction. Yeah, that's not what we want. Yeah, speed is... I want it to get slower. Um, uh, okay, there's lots of stuff. Speed over lifetime. Force. Again, it's not really what I'm looking for. The fuck is speed over lifetime? Start speed. Oh, maybe there's an end speed or something. Ah. Start speed and then end speed. And then just up the start speed a little bit, maybe. That's the shape. Is that the shape of... It's the shape of volume. What about the shape of the thing itself? Particle size. Yeah, this I'm just sort of trial and erroring this. Maybe it needs to be a bit bigger. Lifetime. Start size, we got 2. I want it to go out a bit further though. The rate at which particles are they just too big now? Okay, yeah, the radius needs to be bigger, that's the problem. It looks like some kind of noxious goo, which is, or like gas, which is cool, but it's not really what we're looking for. It's some kind of leaky plasma. Maybe that is cool. Maybe that is fine. Well, plasma's maybe more of a... I don't know what plasma is in this regard. That's fine, right? More particles though. Release more particles. 0.1. What the fuck's going on over here? Why does it not look like that? Oh, it kinda does. Oh, what the fuck is that? That's cool though. What even is this? Okay, that seems fine. Looping? No. What does it look like? Just in a oneer? That looks pretty decent. Okay, so this is going to be on this enemy because it's a pretty specific effect. Fuck, what is this called? Particle system? On death acid particles or acid effect. Something like that maybe. See if I can just drag the particle system straight in. Yeah, okay. And on death, maybe you can flip the thing over. On death dot play. We make a private enumerator. Or maybe you can use doTween for that. Transfer dot do rotate. What would this be? Rotate. Let me see. So if we want this to, nope, nope. Z. Yep, it'd be Z about 140. In 0.5 seconds. And then also move up while it does that. How far do we want it to move? If we rotate minus 140 and then move up like 1, be 1.2. This is all just, again, I don't know if this is going to work, but we'll try it. Move on the Y, 1.2. The duration is going to be 0.5 as well. I hope it can do this at the same time and it doesn't wait or anything. Maybe just move that one up there first. If it does want to do it in order, I would rather it looked like it jumped and then flipped. Let's see. Also, I may need to tell it not to play on start. Yeah, it plays on start. Play on awake? No, thank you. And again, just for testing, that the attack range is so big, I'm just going to bring that down again. Or just take that away altogether. And hope I don't get spammed with errors. Just trying to do stuff. Okay, let's see. Pop, pop, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He didn't die. Why are you not dead? Is it because the error right at the start broke everything? Maybe. If enemy site does not equal to null, grab it. This would be really cool if it just works. So it's moving around. Something broke. Object not set. Always. Ah, come on. Same checks here. These sort of safety checks should probably be all over the code. Harder to debug when something does go wrong, but stops your game from absolutely crashing, having bad problems if you do have them though. Okay, let's try again. Maybe we'll stab it this time. Can't. Stab, stab, stab. More? Oh, if it doesn't equal null. Come on. This time for sure. There's going to be no problems. It's just going to work. Get out of here. Stop, 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 stop. Boom. Hey, almost worked. Okay, it still takes damage. I'll need to just maybe remove the health component. So on death, we remove ourselves. Game object dot. I think we just use destroy health. No, it's this dot health is what we want, I think. Oh no, health is fine. Health is fine. Destroy health. Make it equal to null. And then probably trigger some kind of start coroutine. No, that's not really up to this to decide. It's up to the specific enemy to decide what it wants to do. Start coroutine I death private I enumerator I death, and maybe we'll just make it actually disappear after so many seconds. Yield return wait for seconds, new wait for seconds, and then destroy game object. Wonder why it flipped round. Maybe because this again. So it did the movement and let's see. Hmm. Um, it should have stuck around for 5 seconds, and the particle system is supposed to stop after 3 seconds. Maybe, oh, maybe it was just a residue thing we saw. I wonder why it flips around after rotating. None of this should run. Is there a position on enemy? Yeah, maybe we should just reset all these positions. Nav mesh agent set destination to null. We're not allowed that. Okay, just do transform position so it nullifies whatever it was currently looking for. Target position equals transform.position. Position at enemy site equals transform.position. Just trying to nullify any potential reason why it would try to move again. Oh, hold on. Nav mesh agent dot stop. I think that's what we do. Something like that. Set is stopped to true instead. I don't like that. That's kind of horrible. Okay, let's see. And maybe we'll just make the jolt pipe blaster a bit stronger anyway. 5 damage per bullet. Pop, pop. Hmm. What does it do? So there we go, nice. The bullet just flies straight through because the health component has been removed. But he still decides to flip round again. Uh, only do that if not if active. Okay. We remove all of this, so he shouldn't be trying to return to an original position or anything. Hmm. Again, he shouldn't be running any code either. Is there anything that sets? Hmm. I have died is all that runs. Randomly moving. So what is randomly moving? That is here. And it sets target position and sets destination. So surely if I've reset the target position to something else and set the destination and told it it's stopped, this shouldn't be the problem either. I have rotated game object using DoTween version 2 in Unity. Why does my game object it's normal rotation afterwards? Maybe it's the rigid body because I've told it not to allow a change. Oh, here we go. Rigid body. Okay. Okay. Might be something to do with that. I'll try just changing it. It's kinematic anyway, but I'm wondering if this could be the problem. Freeze rotation. No, no, that's not the problem either. I should remove this though. It is kinematic, so that's fine. Okay, rigid body do rotate. That's interesting. We got so RB dot do rotate. Ooh, cool. Same shit, I hope. Let's copy and paste. Same thing for that. Do move. Y. Right, well, if it's got it there, I may as well use it. Let's see if this is the piece of the puzzle. Boom. Oops. What's going on? Pop. Pop. Didn't do anything. Why, RB? Why have you done this? There's no animator. Ah. Okay, maybe I just need to undo that and then queue it up. So sequence equals doTween dot sequence append, and then just slap that in there. Sequence append, slap that in there, and then is that okay? I don't know if this is needed, but hey. Be awesome if this worked. And I need to get going soon anyway. Come on. Quick. Ah, okay. It's not quite there. I prefer it happening at the same time. This is gonna bother me. Come on. I think I need to turn that back on though. Might be the nav mesh agent if I just turn that off completely. Let's see. Nav mesh agent dot enabled equals false. We'll just turn the nav mesh off, or the agent. Let's see if that does it. Oh, amazing. So none of this is required because it's inactive. So another problem I'm seeing that I'll need to fix in another video. A lot of the instantiations seem to be like popping. So I may need to preload that and then just pull them. So you'd create multiple of the objects and just have it sitting ready to use. So the bullet doesn't seem bad. Also, the mess should be appearing on the floor. Let's see if I can quickly change that. So if this little thing is upside down, let's see if we can get this pool brought down. Just have it looping for just now. Or do I need to have it looping here? I just... Okay, yep, I do. Position, rotation. Is that good enough? So stop, remove the loop, undo the position, 0, 0, try killing him now, and yeah, you'll notice when I slash with the sword or the knife, the text will freeze the game for a second before spawning. There. It's not very good. But the bullet doesn't seem to do that, so I wonder... There we go, that's brilliant. This looks much better than it was before. And then it goes away. Alright, so that's enough for this video. I can't even remember what we started with. Moving around, detecting a player, and then finishing up with death because I didn't want to get stuck into animation so soon. AI, ability picking. So the next video will probably be diving into the ability picking so the monster can run towards the player, charge at him, attack him, and then hopefully after that I'll give that a little break and work on someone else like the base building or something. Alright, thanks for watching.